Welcome back, Hunters. Sky Sensei here. Title Update 2 has launched for Sunbreak, and with it comes some new skills and a few changes to the game, which we'll discuss today. So let's grab a wire bug and head on out. Now there is a build in this video, but again, with how complex building has become thanks to the Quario system, this video will be more informative and sort of a recommendation rather than a this is the exact set kind of video. I will post up more complete sets as the week goes on. Title Update 2 did just release, so give me a day or two, to get some complete sets. But I wanted to give an overview of the new stuff to give you guys an idea of what to work on. If you're looking forward to the complete set videos, be sure to subscribe. So let's jump on in. One of the first changes that I quickly want to mention that came with Title Update 2 is that they renamed Chain Crit to Burst, which at first I was like, wait, why? But then a community member pointed out to me that like, hey, if the skill name has crit in it, maybe it should do something to crit. So probably a good move on Capcom's side, kind of clear up that misunderstanding a little bit. So now Burst is the new Chain Crit, which same skill, nothing has changed, still gives you a little bit of extra attack when you get some damage on the monster. Next up, we have one of the new skills, which is by far the most peculiar skill to me, Buildup Boost. For most weapons, I think this is a pretty neat skill. Buildup Boost increases your attack power when you land an attack that builds up any status effect, including poison, paralysis, sleep, blast, or exhaust. This is a really nice skill for our status builds. It adds extra damage to your attack, so towards the end of a hunt, when monsters have a high tolerance to status, at least you get some benefit from running the status weapon. Additionally, since status builds require specific armor, it is a nice change to see that they're adding more damage skills to make the status more worth it. But anyway, going back to the skill. Yes, this specifically means that only the attacks that build up the status are the ones that get boosted. So in my example here today, I'm using the Narga Blade, so we can talk about poison. Poison buildup occurs every 3 to 4 hits, so that means that every 3 to 4 hits you'll get this extra boost. So the question really is then, is it worth it? Well, for that we'll need to take a little bit of a deeper look into what skills you're kind of replacing with it. Most skills add raw attack to your build, which then gets diluted when you calculate your true attack. Buildup Boost, however, adds a percent value based off of your true attack, which by that I mean the one that actually appears when you hit the monster. So that percentage at level 1 for Buildup Boost adds 10% to that final calculated damage hit. As I said before, to assess whether it is worth it for you or not, it's going to depend on the skills that you give up. So in this example here, for my current comfy Narga handicraft build, I use the Risen Camellia's gloves to get Buildup Boost 1 on the gloves. So with that, I had to rearrange some stuff, and I had to actually get rid of the Scorned Magnamala Waste, which lost me my Mail of Hellfire. Now, Mail of Hellfire adds 15 plus raw attack when you're on the red scroll. So for simplicity's sake, I will show you guys a basic form of calculating true raw for a single hit, and then we'll compare the Mail of Hellfire to Buildup Boost. So of course, you'll need to know your raw attack for your build, and of course you can use the one that's the base one, given on the weapon or the status section of the menu while you're in town. But also keep in mind that when you are in battle, there will be more skills to buff your attack, and the higher your raw attack value goes, the less that 15 extra from Mail of Hellfire is going to be worth. So in this example, we're going to use 506 as my raw attack because that's what I have when I start a hunt, and we're going to exclude skills like Chain Crit and Coalescence that apply extra damage for short periods of time. So going with 506, next we need to know which attack we are hitting with. And the example that I'm going to use is the first hit of the Tornado Slash of the Insect Glaive combo. The motion value for this attack is 0.24. It's a very common attack that most glaive users can use and land. Next, you'll need to pick a hit zone to attack. So for this example, we're going to make an assumption of a hit zone of 0.55. You can find these hit zones in the Hunter notes, and generally speaking, you want to go for something above 50 so that it is a weak zone. And most monsters have good hit zones between 55 and 65. So we're going to take the lower value here just to make sure that we're not overestimating when we're generalizing for most monsters. In this example, I'm not going to calculate crit as well because I do not have Agitator or Bloodlust activated, so my critical chance is just 50% on weak zones. So again, we're going to underestimate rather than overestimate. From there, you can then multiply by the sharpness of the weapon, and for now we can assume purple sharpness since for my build I maintain purple throughout a hunt. Now when we do this calculation, we come up with an attack value of 93 rounded up, and after 4 hits we get 972 damage. Now if we do the same calculation but with Mail of Hellfire active from the start, we have a raw of 521, resulting in 96 true attack and 384 damage after 4 tornado slashes. Now if we use Buildup Boost instead, we take the rounded value of 93 from the original raw attack, adding 10% gives us a rounded 103 damage, and if we assume 1 in 4 hits gets the bonus, we end up with 382 after 4 tornado slashes. Now of course 4 tornado slashes is a bit presumptuous since poison is a chance attack and it's not guaranteed to one specific attack, so this is kind of like the best case scenario. But as you can see, even in the best case scenario, the damage is lower. Now of course if you want to be more accurate, you would have to include the damage changes across an entire combo rather than one attack. These calculations were a little too crazy to show in this video, but very similar results came out of my calculations for this too. You basically are losing that little bit of damage just because of the chance of poison appearing on weaker attacks versus a constant boost from Mail of Hellfire. However, considering the build, the damage loss actually isn't too bad when you think about what else you get. Mail of Hellfire actually drops your defense, so you are losing some protection when you use it. But with this build, it makes it a little bit more comfy because I still get very similar damage, but I also get my defense back. And honestly, that's going to be necessary for some of the new monsters, Flaming Espinos, Risen Camellias, Violet Mizu, as well as the A6 afflicted monsters. They hurt like hell. So for me personally, going up against those monsters, I'm a little bit more comfortable with this build and running Buildup Boost rather than Mail of Hellfire. Again, I'm not a speedrunner, so I don't know what the most optimal, speediest, efficient armor is, but if you're augmenting your armors for more skill, keep in mind that you're already losing more defense for that as well. So running Mail of Hellfire on top of that is definitely quite risky. So yeah, I just wanted to give you guys that very simplified damage consideration when you're switching skills. Honestly, if we had a jewel for this skill, I think that would be best. Maybe in the next title update, which seems to be the trend Capcom is going with. This update did get some jewels for skills that we got on the previous update, so I'll mention those in just a little bit. One of the last skills I want to mention here for this update is Embolden. This is an armor skill tied to the new Violet Mizu armor. It's a very interesting skill to say the least. When you are targeted by the monster, they are more likely to enrage. In addition, you also gain extra defense when they target you, and you gain extra iframes during a dodge, and this skill also stacks with guard, so it adds some extra defense to any guarding weapons. Now quite honestly, I might need to do a little bit more research into the skill, and I'm not an expert on guard, so I can't comment on the guard efficiency, but my initial assessment, it basically looks like a replacement for guard because you can stack it with guard, so it gives a little bit more flexibility to your builds. Additionally, extra iframes are always welcome. The most particular part of this skill though is of course making monsters more likely to enrage. Now I personally haven't seen a major difference in this, to be honest. That of course comes from my like 1 day of experience right now. I've also attempted this on afflicted monsters quite a bit, and I saw a slight change in enraging. Even if you get multiple hits off after like an afflicted explosion, they still have some exhaustion time, so it's not like they immediately go back when you're using this skill. So yeah, I will do a little bit more investigation into it, but if anyone has any insights, please comment below. I still plan to use this with my Narga Blade since the Violet Mizu Coils has 3 Agitator, which is a freaking cracked armor piece. So you might as well combine it, and if there's any chance for a little bit of extra enraging, that just basically means Agitator activates earlier for you and you get extra attack and extra affinity. So jumping on over, let's talk about the new jewels added with Title Update 2. The Foray and Burst jewels have been added, which I think are great additions. If you are building a Foray for status builds, it was a little bit difficult before this update since you were very limited with armor options, but now there is a jewel. This will make the Foray skill a lot more prominent. The Burst or previously Chain crit wasn't really necessary or worthwhile after level 1, but you know, if you have space on a build after some augments, now's your chance to move past level 1. Phoenix, Sleep, Blast, and Paralysis 4+ jewels have also been added. The status jewels will be fantastic, especially if you have a 4 slot on your charm. Most of the time, this is a great slot to just add that 4 slot like 4+ status jewel while keeping your main skills on your build. Phoenix again is one of those skills that doesn't benefit you enough from higher levels. It adds little extra attack, just very little, so it's not really worth, honestly. But in my current build here for the Narga Blade, I actually did utilize it because I replaced the Scorned Magnum Hollow Waste, and I happen to have a free 4 slot on my charm, so I utilized the level 2. Definitely a nice benefit if you have the space for it. The other new jewel that I utilized on my build is the Handicraft Jewel Plus. Yes, this gives you 2 handicrafts for a single 4 slot, and I think that's pretty worth it. More often than not, if you are already using the Handicraft deco, it's probably sitting in a 4 slot right now. So a 4 slot deco definitely is becoming more common with the new armors too, so upgrading to the Handicraft to level 4 is definitely quite possible. I've made use of it right here on my Narga Blade slot. Haze Jewel is also really neat. That's a great addition for poison builds. Is basically the Camellia's armor ability. If you can get the Camellia Blessing to level 3 with the addition of these jewels, any poison build will benefit from it. Now, some of the biggest jewels that we're getting here are the level 4 jewels for the bow shot types. That's right, Spread, Pierce, and Force Shot are all 4 slot jewels which give 2 levels. Given that the single ones are level 3 and that more armor sets are getting level 4 slots, this is pretty big and it's going to give bow builds a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more slots to add other skills. These jewels get unlocked with the new A6 afflicted monsters, Rajang, Gorse, Regios, Espinos, and Basil. I haven't played around with the bow builds yet, and I might post some if I find a really nice set that I enjoy. I also believe there's a new Rampage deco specifically for Bloodblight builds. I will post another video for it after I test out the deco to see if I can make a Insight Glaive build that's worthwhile with the attack boost. And yeah, that's about it that I wanted to review for Title Update 2. We do also have weapon layered armors now that have come in, so you can match your favorite weapons with your favorite armors. Definitely a fun experience for any fashion hunters. As I mentioned as well, I will try to post more set builds over the week. But I just wanted to review the new stuff here first if you haven't already seen them, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys have an idea of what to go with moving forward. So if you're looking forward to the build videos, be sure to subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, stay safe, be happy, and keep hunting. Sky Sensei is out.